Hey, welcome back guys to another update. I wasn't expecting to make one so soon, but matte black AirPods. Matte black AirPods are actually happening from Apple, not a third-party source. Apple is doing them, and we've learned some new features about the AirPods 2, amongst some AirPower news, just the release schedule Apple's got going right now in March, plus some disappointing iPhone 11 leaks. Just at the same time, a lot of reports regarding some smaller Apple products all in one video. Let's jump right in. So the Chinese New Year has just ended, and as a result, there are a lot of reports now coming out now that that sabbatical is over. Now, the first one is coming from MySmartPrice. MySmartPrice is the same company that leaked the square iPhone lens design. That's the one Apple decided to scrap and go with the Android-looking one. Now they've released a report regarding AirPods 2 and an all-in-one little summary. So first thing they started with is that AirPods 2, the core design will not be changing this generation. So the overall look of the case and the AirPods should stay the same, but there will be many other improvements in other ways. And I actually learned this, so there's going to be two entirely new products. One is the wireless charging case for the AirPods 1, which may or may not be the same case as AirPods 2. So Apple will be launching an entirely different lineup of the AirPods. So for existing AirPods owners, you'll be able to upgrade the case just to the AirPods wireless charging case, and then there will be an entirely new product, AirPods 2. So that's the confusion I was a little worried about before. What is Apple actually doing? Now we've got a clear picture here. And that's the stuff we do know. Here's everything that they did add to the report. Now, first off is more bass. Apple has tuned the AirPods 2, MySmartPrice is saying, for a greater bass response, and there's really not much you can do. Again, they said that the design is not changing, so within this little tiny appendage of the AirPods, they will be reworking the internals actually pretty significantly, and this is of course with the health monitoring features, which they did confirm Apple is still working on those. So the AirPods 2 will have some sort of heart rate sensor, possibly an oximetry sensor, which measures the concentration of oxygen in your blood, or a thermometer. Again, those are the predictions we have for which ones could theoretically fit in here, but they confirmed Apple is working on that. And that improvement with a greater bass response. So Apple's doing some really ingenious engineering here to get the most from this shape. And then of course, AirPods 3 going forward are going to be the one with the new design, possibly not have this appendage on the bottom at all and just be this pod, but a bigger version of it like we saw in the patents. So definitely some interesting stuff cooking here. And there's more. So the example that MySmartPrice brought up is the Pixel 3. And this is such a good thing for Apple to copy. The Pixel 3, if you guys have ever picked one up and played with it, the back has this very interesting texture to it. So it's a frosted glass, but at the same time, it's got this, just a great texture to it. It's grippy, it resists scratches pretty well, all while allowing wireless charging here. And I'm not saying anything, but on this channel, it just kind of feels good that a prediction I made with the matte coating that we put on the AirPods 2 in our concept is actually happening. And obviously, this is none of our input for Apple. They planned this long ago. We were actually inspired by the Apple Pencil 2 to put that coating on the AirPods 2, but it's just kind of cool to see a feature and anticipate it and predict it before it happens. So that's happening, and I gotta say, I am absolutely in love. I would love for a surface like this on the AirPods and to extend that further to the iPhone. And in the article, they mentioned this, and I also reported on this in the earlier leaks video, is that Apple is working and could include that sort of new coating for grip and scratch resistance on the new iPhone as well. And what better coating than the same one found on the Pixel 3? Like, this thing still looks brand new, it's glass, but you can't see scratches through this matte frosting coating. And yes, it does improve grip. So this is all combining to mean that the iPhone 11 could have a very, very similar frosted glass back as the Pixel 3 to match the AirPods 2 as well. So this is all coming together, guys. It's so exciting to see that. So another opinion, the iPhone 11 will come with this frosted glass. We'll see what happens with that one. They also mentioned that that coating will not only apply to the AirPods themselves, but the actual case as well. And I gotta say, having a case with a similar feeling texture as the Pixel 3, it's great. It resists scratches pretty well. Aside from the paint process, it is chipping a little bit off the edges here, but overall it's held fast, a year and a half in. So I gotta say, this coating will work very, very well, not only on the AirPods, but also on the case itself. MySmartPrice brushes over this very quickly in the article, but it's such a big point here. Black AirPods will change everything. You won't have this white color just shining out of your ears now. I think black is a lot more subtle, and for that reason, I really like my space gray ones. In a way, it almost kind of hides that little thing jutting out of your ear. It's not so noticeable on the eyes, and a matte black will look beautiful, as some of our concepts show you. They also mentioned that the battery will be more or less the same as the original AirPods, and this is where they go into detail about the new product line. So for AirPods 1, they'll sell a separate accessory with a slightly slightly smaller battery in it than the original AirPods case. So do keep that in mind. The wireless charging case may reduce the overall life, which I believe is 18 to 24 hours of the case itself besides the AirPods. And they mentioned that both of these products, the wireless charging case for first gen and AirPods 2, will be released sometime this spring. And this is all leading up to an Apple Spring event. There are simply too many products all arriving at the same time, or roughly around the same time, first half of 2019, for them to be a coincidence. Apple is more than likely planning a March event here. They said the price tag of the AirPods 2 is likely to be around $199. So currently they're $159, but with all of these new and additional features, it's actually not crazy at all to ask for a little bit more money. It's very likely they will have the health monitoring features. Of course, the wireless charging will be baked into the case. You won't have to buy a separate one, amongst other features. There's just a lot that Apple will be offering you. And obviously an AirPods 1 upgrade to AirPods 2 for $200 might not be worth it for you for such a small product. I'd rather buy over-ear headphones for that price. And they also gave some details on AirPower. So AirPower will be arriving around the same time as AirPods 2, again almost confirming this March or spring release date. They mentioned a $150 price tag and that the features would be evolving over time. Apple will be releasing some iOS 13 specific features for AirPower, and that could mean more devices supported, new animations and sounds over time. It's a product that you're going to pay for a lot, but will keep evolving and getting better over time. And there's truly no product like it on the market with overlapping coils that's going to be supported so well in the software. The integration itself will be very seamless. The $150 is a lot to ask for, but it's a product that will keep getting better with time. And the article left things off on a very interesting note. Apparently internally, Apple is working on Macs with a touch screen. Not only that, but also Face ID. So there are Face ID modules they're embedding in the top bezel, very likely, of MacBooks and iMacs that would serve to give you boosted security. And I'm more than positive the Face ID feature is coming to future Macs. Now, Mac2Car reported today too on the new iPad mini 5. They said it's a very low priority product, that mostly the shell will not be changing, the design will not be changing. Basically everything is staying the same except for a microphone relocation to the middle of the casing on the back, like we rendered it for you. So a very low priority product for Apple. There's no reason for them to make this anything more than it should be, just a refresh of an iPad mini 4. And Mac2Car says the Apple A10 will be thrown into this device. Unknown if it'll be the A10 or A10X, but definitely the A10 series here. Considering they're keeping the headphone jack on this device, it's very unlikely it'll be a power device, so A10 I think is more likely. And a couple interesting details regarding the A13 processor that'll be powering your iPhone 11. So first off, TSMC will remain the sole supplier of this processor. The orders will not be going out to any other company, and that's a good thing. TSMC has been on it. There's nothing wrong with the processor on the iPhone XS. If anything, it's too much power. Two, the A13 will remain a 7nm process, so the die size is not shrinking just yet, which makes sense. Apple is simply on top of the processor game. There is no reason to push for a 5nm process just yet. They're just going to perfect the 7nm with an extreme ultraviolet lithography process. If you guys want to know what that's about, I'll leave a link that describes it pretty well down below. Me reading through it, in a nutshell, what I understood is the process of manufacturing the 7nm processor is becoming more efficient, and this is to skirt Moore's law as that comes to a grinding halt, basically. So the die process making it is going from a 193nm wavelength for the device that prints the circuits on the board to a 13.5nm wavelength. So the process is becoming much more efficient, and as a result of that efficiency, which is very, very hard to do, there's a lot of engineering that goes into this extreme ultraviolet lithography process. Apple will be possibly saving a little bit of money, just a few cents, maybe $1 on every single processor they make, and as a result, compounded over many iPhones, they will receive some budget end savings. And some disappointing news for a change. Mac2Car is saying the bundled adapter with the iPhone 11 will not be a USB-C adapter, it'll be a USB-A, the exact same 5-watt power adapter currently bundled with the iPhone XS model. What's worse is the iPhone will not be getting USB-C. They said there is simply too much reason for Apple to stay on Lightning right now, likely to do with the licensing, with all the accessory money that they get because of this standard. So there's just no real incentive incentive on the iPhone to switch to USB-C. The iPads are a power product, so that's understandable. They're gonna keep this, I believe, and this is my opinion, on Lightning for as long as possible, and then eventually transition to their wireless, portless future that Johnny Ive has envisioned. Basically a device completely sealed with no ports at all. The future iPhones simply won't need them. And Meizu is already trying to develop that future. With the Meizu Zero, the world's first portless phone, they want to beat Apple to the punch. And the question is, when will we be ready for this future? It all sounds good in theory until it comes to that moment where your device freezes and you need to restore it on the computer. You need buttons, you need ports right now. How can we make devices so reliable that that simply doesn't need to exist anymore? I really do wonder about that. And it's a future I think we can't escape. It's definitely going there. The question is, when will we be ready? And there it is, guys. AirPower, iPads, AirPods 2, black matte AirPods 2. That's awesome. We are definitely in store for a March event, so stay tuned for that and any and all news and leaks. Peace.